I really believe that this Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni lawsuit marks the beginning of the end of Hollywood. With the rise of social media, we've been seeing this for a while. Less and less people are watching movies, and more people are watching their favorite YouTube channel. They're online, they're on social media, and that is where they're getting their entertainment and their information. So this is something that I've seen as kind of been a long time coming, but something about this lawsuit I really feel has opened the eyes of so many people, especially those in the mainstream who were under the delusions of Hollywood for a really long time. Not only are movies and entertainment nowadays, TV shows, they're going down in popularity, but they're also going down in quality. I mean, I can't tell you, when I was growing up in the 2000s, next big movie was like you knew it was going to be like a really good movie, and it was going to have a good plot line. It was going to have decent characterizations, depending on the movies. I'm generalizing a bit. But for the most part, you knew that a blockbuster movie was going to deliver in the entertainment realm. Now when a blockbuster movie comes out, like the plot is terrible, the themes don't make sense, and the characterizations are also often terrible. Like they're not any characters that we want to root for or can relate to. And I really feel like for a long time, actually, that I felt that Hollywood was kind of going downhill and there was going to be an end to Hollywood. And I feel like now is the time. It's happening. And I'm not someone who puts down Hollywood simply because they make entertainment and they make stories. I actually think that's one of the highest art forms that you could do, is to make stories that touch people's hearts. And that is really what Hollywood should be. It should be a group of artists, right? It should be the best stories, and the best writers are the ones who get the spotlight. I am about true artistry, and I believe that movie making is an art. And unfortunately, however, it has become, and maybe for a long time, has been a hierarchical narcissistic system. And what goes hand in hand with narcissistic hierarchical systems? Nepotism. Hollywood is rife with nepotism, and there's not many things that I hate more than nepotism, because I really do feel like it's usually connected to narcissism. Like you can see the patterns there. You can see the connection. By the way, I'm sorry I talk with my hands so much. I'm Italian. It's just part of my personality. Someone was saying, "Can you just be still?" I'm sorry, I can't. This is my personality. I've got a little chaos in me. Anyway, back to nepotism and narcissism. The reason that I feel that they're related is because if you think about succeeding in any sort of industry, whether it be an artistic industry or anything else, it should come down to merit, should it not? Who has true art that they want to share that's going to impact people's lives? That is the people and the stories and the actors that should be the ones who are on the top. And I've talked about how hierarchical systems are often narcissistic, and I want to discuss that I don't believe all hierarchies are wrong. Someone made a comment on my YouTube channel that was really insightful and had brought up a lot of really good questions. She said, "I'm so impressed at the level of wisdom you have for being so young." Thank you. I'm not that young. I appreciate the compliment, though. "Everything you have talked about, I have pondered since I was young, over 40 years ago. I'm amazed at how well you're able to articulate this system so well, while I've been struggling for years to figure it out. Is it just me? However, I think one thing you are missing in your paradigm is the fact that we humans are still just animals. We evolved just like any other social animals to identify and live within hierarchies. The evolution of our brains has not caught up with the technology of society. We still have that legacy instinct to overpower others in the pack, ensuring our genetic dominance. I would be grateful if you could help me understand how evolutionary biology would fit into your model of social dynamics. Are we all a product of our limbic systems, and our narcissists are just acting out their instincts as pack leaders? Are the victims like Justin Baldoni simply naively unaware that most people still operate on the need to survive?" And that brings up a lot of really good points and begs the question, is all narcissism evil? To be honest, and I'm not a therapist, I'm just speaking on this more on a philosophical level, and I'll talk more about that in a future video. I want to stay away from like diagnosing anyone because I don't have that right. However, I do think that it is important, even as lay people, that we talk about these issues of narcissism. But my personal beliefs on what I understand about narcissism is that everybody has a level of narcissism. It's not just like you're either a narcissist or you're not. There is a scale. And this kind of gets a little more into my personal beliefs, but while I do believe that it is animalistic in the sense that we assert our dominance and that's part of the necessity to survive, however, I think that as humans that we embody consciousness, or at least we are meant to embody consciousness on a higher level than animals, and that we are meant to overcome these survival instincts within us. Not to the point where we are just naively giving of ourselves to the point where we are destroyed, because that would be not having enough narcissism to survive, because we do need a level to survive. However, this is kind of what I'm talking about when I talk about the new paradigm. It does go a little bit into my spiritual belief system, because I do believe that we are meant to overcome simply just surviving and learning to live very consciously with the recognition that we are all on a universal level one with everyone else. And that's my personal belief system, that we are all fragments in the mind of God, reflections of the mind of God experiencing each other. We're basically God experiencing each other. But the truth is often dual. And learning to survive in this world, having enough narcissism so that we are literally not dominated and controlled by everyone else so that we do survive. But then, balancing that with the understanding that we are not more important than another piece of God that we are interacting with, which would be another person or another being. And that is the balance that I believe that the duty of every human is meant to strike, or learn how to strike. But I also think that we have lived under this hierarchical narcissistic system dominance for many, many years. And yes, it did help people to survive. It was usually the narcissistic who survived, whether it be in the animal kingdom, in a survival situation, whether it be in the tribe, or within modern society. It would be naive to say that we do not live in a dog-eat-dog world. However, this new paradigm that I believe is coming is a spiritual paradigm where we recognize the oneness of humanity and we learn to interact with the world and live with more empathy, and that old system of this hierarchical system starts to become something of the past. It is obsolete. It is the old paradigm. Leaving the sick or overly empathetic out into the cold and taking everything that you can get from them, while we might say, oh, that's just the game that nature plays, I also don't believe that that is the spiritually correct way to operate as a human, not as an animal. You might think that we're animals, but I personally believe that there is a distinction between humans and animals. Consciousness in humans and animals is represented differently, and I do believe that animals are on a lower stream of consciousness. And let me be very clear here. I'm not saying that our limbic systems, this need to survive, is going to go away. I just think that as humans, using our frontal lobe, we are meant to dominate over it and let our morality and our moral compasses lead us rather than our need to survive, which has typically been leading humans and people for a very, very long time. So even within this spiritual understanding of ourselves, there is meant to be a hierarchy, that we are meant to have our frontal lobes, our spiritual selves, our moral compass overcoming the more lower nature. And I think that the more and more humans that are able to do that, which I do believe from the evidence I've seen that Justin Baldoni is one of them, the more that we are going to see this change into this new paradigm, or that is going to be the expectation, that those are going to be the new people on top. So it's not so much as doing away with hierarchy, rather doing away with hierarchical systems that are based on narcissism that I believe are going to fall. It's about overcoming the false hierarchy, where the wrong thing and the wrong people are on top, the wrong principles are on top, and the false patriarchy, so that the real one, the best one, can take its place.